Hi there, I'm Caden Rains, and welcome to my basement. Today we return to the land of Jakks Pacific Sonic figures with some modern Badniks and Baddie, as we've got both Infinite, Metal Sonic, and Metal Sonic 3.0, who I'm sure are going to be very different from one another. But let's take a look at them each individually, including getting 3.0 out of his packaging, and then we'll add them to our evil scientist display that we've put off thanks to spooky season till now, but let's get to it. So here is Infinite on his own. We're going to start with him so that we can compare the two Metal Sonics together. But also, Infinite won't stand up on his own. I mean, yeah. And his tail's not long enough to be used as a stand, so if you don't get an actual stand to go with his feet, he will not stand, or leaning him against something. So that is a negative. However, I do think he's a good-looking figure. I know I probably say that a lot because I mostly pick up figures that I already think look good. But as far as 4-inch scale goes, as with most of the Sonic figures that are animals, I think they did a pretty good job on him. He's not, like, obviously just something that was modified and then had a new head added on. He's very different from his feet to his hands. It's all pretty good looking. Like, if he could stand more easily, he'd be great. That is really his only flaw, is that he can't stand on his own. And it's because of all this hair, the fur coming out of his mask. That's what does the weight. If he didn't have that, or if it was set up differently, it'd be fine. But alas, that's where we're at. He does have, same kind of articulation you get with most of these Sonic figures. Wrist turns around, the shoulder both goes around and up and down, both on both sides. Same basic thing on the legs, except you also get the knees. So I call this an absolute win. Absolute cinema. Sorry. His accessory is the Phantom Ruby, which I actually thought I lost in the move, but then I found it, so good. It's neat. I don't think it's as close to game canon as it could be. If memory serves, the Phantom Ruby looks more like what's in his chest, which is why it's in his chest. But whatever. It's fine. It's another magical gem for the Sonic collection, if you care. So whatever. I know you can get, like, unofficial Chaos Emeralds on Amazon and whatnot that match the ones that these figures have, but he's fine. Again, if you have something to lean him on or to hold him up, then you won't notice anything, but that is his only real downside that I've noticed with him. Otherwise, I think he's good. If you like villains and you're okay with Sonic Forces, I know that's kind of contentious. I think it gets more of a bad rap than it deserves, but yeah, he's just a fine figure. There we go. So now that we've looked at him, let's take a look at the Metal Sonics, which are right over here. They are pretty much identical. So before we get into what's similar about them, we'll get into what's different. Metal Sonic 3.0 comes with a red star ring, which is neat. I don't know how many other characters have gotten it as an accessory, but I know it's the first one I've had, or at least the first one I can remember. It might have come in, like, one of those two character boxes. I don't really pay attention to the accessories in those. So that's what he's got. And then normal Metal Sonic has the bumper, which I thought was like a fidget toy when I first got it. And I guess it kind of is. But I think it's supposed to be one of those things that in the games, whether you're rolling or not, when you hit it, you just bounce. Not like the spring, but the same kind of idea. So it's there. It's okay. I think it's better as a fidget toy than as an accessory, but alas, that's just a side thought. Now, they do have different paint jobs, and I feel like both paint jobs are, fine. They could probably be a little better, I feel like around the edge of his yellow on 3.0, and some other little parts that it's just not as clean as it could be, but it's also not bad. But otherwise, as far as I can tell, with the exception of maybe their hands, which might have just been because this one just came out of his packaging, they're pretty much identical. There's, like, it's just the paint job that makes, like, these gray parts look longer than on one than the other. So it is just a paint job. I mean, I don't know what really to expect because Metal Sonic 3.0 in the games, I'm pretty sure was just a sprite recolor. You know, someone can, or sprites, they technically had a 3D model in the rival games, so whatever. But, so if you're not into recolors, I'd say 3.0 is kind of not worth it. He's not really a new figure in the grand scheme of things. But if you're just trying to collect them all, then getting this character who's had very few appearances and does not get brought up a lot is a neat little addition, I suppose. So I don't have a problem with it, but I can see why some people might be disappointed in 3.0 because he's not the iconic one. Original Metal Sonic is the iconic one. There's a reason his design really hasn't changed in so many years. And the first time they changed it for like an updated one, it lasted like 2 games. And then the only other updates to his design were temporary super forms and such, like Neo Metal, who I don't have because for the year I was looking for it, plus up till now, really, because I still hope for a miracle some days, I have never seen it in stores. I saw one figure from the same wave once out of five Walmarts and 3 Targets that I pass somewhat regularly and check. And when I was really looking, I was checking every one of them at least once a week because of where I lived. I had to pass them all, so I might as well search for my $10 toy that was probably costing me a lot more in gas. But never saw it. Saw one figure from its wave. So whatever. I'm just complaining to complain now because I want that figure and I'm not willing to pay $100 on eBay for it because that's dumb. It's dumb. eBay scalpers, you're being dumb. But Jakks Pacific also needs to do a better job of selling some of these things. But again, that's besides the point. Anyway, now that we've looked at these 3, let's take them to the Mad Scientist section of our shelf and see how they look. And down we go. And there we are. Adding a little bit more to our Mad Scientist section of the villain shelf. This section will be changing a lot eventually once I get all of the figures set up and out of their boxes. But for now, here are 3 new additions. Metal Sonic gets to go with Mecha Sonic because of that whole silver Sonic panel I told you guys about in a different video, which eventually I will recreate still. But I put the other 2 back there just because. And there we more or less are. I've got a few more Sonic figs that could be, well, that are somewhat on the negative side, I guess, of characters in one way or another. So I'll be doing a short video on a couple of them. But most of my other Sonic figures are going to be not villains. Like, you might notice that Omega's not here because he stopped being a badnik in the game that he came out in. So I don't really consider him to be part of this section. But yeah, so only a few more figures for this side of the shelf, and then we will move on to some other sci-fi stuff to fill out this area, and eventually I'll start setting this corner up in more of a display, so it's not just the figures standing there. The Skeletors will pretty much always be like that because they're Skeletors. There's too many of them, and there will be more. But a lot of the other shelf space, I'm going to try and do little scenes like I did for the Halloween one that still needs to be taken down, but I'm really slow if you haven't noticed. So, yeah. So, anyway, do you have any of these 3 latest Badniks in the Jakks specific Sonic line? And if you do, let me know down below if you like them or not. If you don't, do you want them? Do you wish you'd found them? Are you glad that some of them are getting reprinted? Like, I know there's a new wave that's got Metal Sonic in it that just came out. And I'm wondering if you're looking forward to any of that. But otherwise, I hope you had a good time in my basement today, and I'll see you in the next one.